Abu Mohammad Al-Jawlani is topping global terror lists. The next, he's walking the halls of Damascus in a tailored suit, talking politics, giving interviews, and shaking hands like he's running for class president. During his reign in Idlib, Jawlani cultivated what appeared to be a controlled environment. The surface-level organization was impressive. Disciplined fighters, structured checkpoints, and a seemingly orderly enclave. This dramatic rebranding effort aimed to distance HTS from its al-Qaeda roots and present a more palatable image to the international community. Some analysts were even drawn into believing that jihadist groups could experience a moderate phase of development. Turns out, we do. We just give them better PR teams, a fresh wardrobe, and voila, they're part of the solution. But magic always comes with a price. And in Syria, that price is already being paid. Bombed churches. Coastal villages on edge. Christian communities wondering how stabilization feels a lot like being thrown back under the bus. So buckle in as we peel back the curtain on this political performance and ask, who's really writing the script and who's stuck paying for the tickets? However, the foundation of this apparent stability wasn't built on popular support or revolutionary governance. Instead, it rested on a sophisticated financial network operating in the shadows. The operation relied on multiple revenue streams, foreign donations channeled through questionable charitable organizations, cryptocurrency transactions, smuggling operations, and complex money laundering schemes. This war economy created a system where financial control translated directly into military authority and narrative control. The equation was straightforward. Control the cash, control the fighters, control the fighters, control the narrative. The current situation reveals the limitations of this model when applied to legitimate state building. Jawlani, now operating under the political identity of Ahmed Shara, faces fundamentally different challenges in Damascus than he did as the emir of Idlib. The controlled environment of his former stronghold, where loyalty could be enforced through fear and religious authority, doesn't exist in the broader political landscape. In Damascus, there's no pledge of loyalty enforced by fear, no religious bubble to control dissent, and no convenient border checkpoints to separate populations. This transition exposes several critical issues. First, the mechanisms that maintained order in a wartime enclave prove ineffective in managing a fractured state. The skills required for diplomatic engagement, inclusive governance, and institution building differ dramatically from those needed to run a militant organization, regardless of how disciplined it appeared. The fighters who once obeyed the hidden hand of the emir are now scattered across a chaotic space where legitimacy must be earned rather than imposed. The financial infrastructure that supported Jawlani's previous authority, involving Turkish and Lebanese shell companies and various laundering schemes, doesn't translate into legitimate political capital. While money could buy loyalty among fighters and maintain control within a confined territory, it cannot purchase the civic trust necessary for genuine political leadership. The war economy that sustained his power in Idlib proves inadequate for the challenges of national governance. The attempt to transform from a warlord to a politician reveals a fundamental misunderstanding of political legitimacy. Simply changing one's appearance, adopting a new name, and launching PR campaigns cannot erase history or create authentic political authority. The underlying power structures remain rooted in war economy dynamics, with the same network of war profiteers, ideological enforcers, and opportunistic influence seekers maintaining their positions behind the scenes. This situation raises serious questions about Syria's future. If the supposed new order continues to rely on the same brokers of chaos who thrived during the conflict, then what appears to be reconstruction might actually be mere repackaging. The structural issues that plagued Syria during the war years remain unaddressed, merely concealed behind a veneer of legitimacy. The dangerous vacuum behind the new slogans and power suits remains unchanged. The financial networks that sustain the war economy continue to operate, though now under different guises. Foreign dealings and hidden agendas persist, even as the public face of leadership attempts to project stability and reform. This creates a dangerous illusion of progress while perpetuating the same systemic problems that contributed to Syria's initial crisis. The money laundering, image laundering, and narrative laundering cannot patch over the fundamental structural cracks in the system. The challenge extends beyond individual leadership. The entire ecosystem that enabled Jawlani's previous authority, from financial networks to enforcement mechanisms, proves inadequate for genuine state building. Real political transition requires more than surface-level changes. It demands fundamental restructuring of power relationships, economic systems, and governance mechanisms. The gap between running a militant enclave and governing a state remains vast, regardless of how sophisticated the rebranding effort might be. This attempted transformation from warlord to politician serves as a cautionary tale about the complexities of post-conflict political transitions. It demonstrates that financial control and forced loyalty, while effective in maintaining wartime authority, cannot substitute for legitimate political leadership and institutional development. The stark reality is that Jawlani cannot reclaim his role as emir in this new environment, and Ahmed Shara cannot simply step into the role of a legitimate president. The situation continues to evolve, but the fundamental disconnect between wartime authority and legitimate governance persists. Until this core issue is addressed, Syria risks perpetuating its cycles of crisis under increasingly polished but equally problematic leadership structures. The million-dollar question remains: will anyone acknowledge these fundamental contradictions, or will Syria continue recycling the same crises under a more respectable brand while the underlying networks of power and money continue their operation behind closed doors? Behind every promise of stability and reform in this transition lies a complex web of financial relationships that reveal the true nature of power. Following these money trails exposes the limitations of attempting to transform militant authority into legitimate political leadership through mere rebranding and image manipulation. The story of Jawlani's attempted transformation serves as a powerful reminder that genuine political legitimacy cannot be bought, borrowed, or laundered. It must be built on foundations of authentic governance and public trust.